So last week I made a video talking about the AI bros crashing out over the Suno AI music situation, and today, well, they're crashing out over something else. They're actually really mad at this, and this doesn't even just hit AI bros. This hits actually just regular people as well too. It's like pandemonium for these people, and they can't even comprehend what's going on. I think this is actually one of the most intriguing things because this also affects people who go to school, and so I have to talk about this. Let's get into it. So if you were on internet within the past week, then you probably saw something like this. This is just in Claude models will now have invisible watermarks embedded in all text and all metadata attached to files. And it was Claude talking about here. It says how Claude marks AI generate content. It says Anthropic has signed the EU's AI Act Article 52 Code of Practice of Transparency of AI generated content as a provider of both generative AI models and generative AI systems. This article describes how we're planning to put those commitments into practice, how making works, and what limitations are. We'll update this article and publish more detailed technical guidance as soon as it becomes more available. It says how Claude marks content. It says Claude uses two complementary techniques to mark content generated and processed by Claude. Watermarks embedded in text and two sign provenance metadata attached to files. It says embedded watermarks in text. When a supported Claude model generates text, it moves an imperceptible watermark directly into the text itself. You won't see it, and it doesn't change the meaning, quality, or readability of Claude's response. Because the watermark is part of the text, it will travel with the text when it's copied and pasted elsewhere, and may persist through some edited watermark. It will be applied at the model level, which means it will present no matter which Claude product or surface the text comes from. Sign provenance metadata. When Claude generates a supported file type such as SVG, PNG, or JPEG, it will attach a sign provenance metadata. This metadata follows the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity (C2PA) open standard, which is used across industry to report information about content provenance. If a signed metadata label is present, it signals that a file is processed by Claude and lets you detect whether the file has been taken. And then it finishes off right here saying detecting Claude marks. We are working to enable users and other third parties to detect Claude's embedded watermarks and provenance metadata. Detection checks whether a piece of text or I guess I don't know what it says, or a blank carries a supported Claude mark. If a supported mark is blank, is indicated that the content may have been processed by Claude. So one of the biggest things that you'll probably see a lot of people also bring up and highlight is the fact of just literally right here. It says how if you'll steal content from the internet and put your own watermark on it. And I mean for better or worse, that is true. That's like one way you could view it, right? It's kind of ironic to see an AI company which is built on literally just stealing and theft from other people put watermarks now on their stuff. And I mean, it's just really stupid, right? But on the other hand, you do have to look at it from a practical standpoint of like, hey, yeah, it's ironic, yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, if AI is going to be here and there's nothing that can be done to get rid of it, then this is the next best case scenario, which is having a watermark so that there is some form of way to trace what it is used and actually identify that. So I think there is still at least that on one hand. But with that being said, there is a lot more information regarding this and a lot of AI bros that crashed out. Let's see what they had to say. So the first person right here said, just cancel my Claude account. It says it was a fun 2 years watching Anthropic create an excellent product, but at a certain point, a man got to look himself in the mirror and ask why he's paying a company he disagrees with on so many levels. To replace this gap in my life, I'll be upgrading to the $200 Venice Max plan to build mainly with Kimi, GLM, and DeepSeek. I'll have less tokens to waste, but at least my money will go towards a mission I believe in. Vote with your dollar, as they say. I'll post updates to share how it goes. So that's one AI bro and what they thought. Another person says, someone asked me why I think this is ridiculous, and here's my answer. Because the tools used to accomplish a task is irrelevant, because what matters is the quality of the work. The idea is that AI work needs to be distinguished from human work is adjacent to the Marxist theory of value. When someone digs a ditch in your yard, do you care if they do it by hand or using a machine? Or do you only care that they do the job properly? The problem with Anthropic is that they do not see machines as tools to be used by humans. They think in their kooky cult that they're making a new type of life. And so someone replied back saying, I disagree. If you paid for something to be handmade, you'd be very disappointed if you discovered they're using the machine. I agree that aggregate AI is a tool. It should not matter. If it's used by having a default indicator is something leverage AI is very valuable for a world, particularly in regards to deepfakes and slop work. And then they replied back saying, I think for images and videos, stronger case to be made when it comes to handcrafted stuff. I agree that would be a fraud to say something is handcrafted when it's not. However, none of that justifies stamping all text as AI generated. Another AI bro says, I keep thinking Anthropic can't possibly top their last bad decision, but here we are. Now, one of the things I also want to show real quick is just kind of how sad the state of the world is. We always talk about AI and sort of the effect that's had in this world, but one of the biggest things you also see is how it's being used in school institutions, high school, college, and not even just including the fact that before AI The reading and language was already going down for a lot of the younger generation coming in, and it's absolutely abysmal. And I think just this clip alone that I came across recently really highlights just how bad it is. See right here, it says high school teacher broke down tears after in class after realizing his students couldn't read or write. They couldn't fill in 4 words. Let me play you this clip so you can see.
These kids are leaving high school and going to college, and they couldn't fill in 4 words. 4 words. I literally broke down in the middle of class. This is only day 2. And I have seniors who simply cannot read and seniors who cannot write. They can reason. They have the ability to defend their reasoning if it's talking to their homeboy, but applying that to a written text, 2 paragraphs, they couldn't do it. Our young black men, our young brown men, our young black girls, and our young brown girls.
And honestly, this is a sad thing to see, man. Like it comes to one of those situations where you look at the fact that, I used to see it a lot. At first I kind of blew it up. I was like, that's probably an exaggeration when they talked about people and the young generation not being able to navigate using a computer, and they all grew up just pretty much using a telephone. And I can't believe this is a telephone. Holy shit, I'm getting a whole, oh my fucking god. Using smartphones, and that's pretty much all they know. And just knowing TikTok and Twitter, Instagram, social media, they can navigate, they can use that. And that's pretty much the extent of their knowledge, and at least with technology. And then when you fast forward and you look into, how the students operate into an actual, I guess, an educational situation or educational room like high school or college, then it's just a complete disaster, and it doesn't do anything. And I think that's sad. And the fact is, you can look at maybe the introduction of things like TikTok is probably a contributing factor, but the point is, when you look at now 2026, the biggest contributing factor is just literally, and I'm not even shitting you, is AI. AI is just escalating things so much further. So you pair AI and then you pair things like TikTok, that's really just making things off. And when I was prepping things for this video, the amount of tweets that I would see replying to the same, good thing I just got out of college, good thing I already graduated, good thing I already passed through before this came through. A lot of people were saying that, and that really speaks volumes to just how fucked the educational society is at this point in time. And I mean, obviously you could argue as well too that is education and how it's been approached for decades been the correct way. There's probably many arguments people want to make towards that, but that's not the point. When you have a situation, and again, this isn't just this teacher, this is not just specific to him. This is something that has happened to, literally, you can find it all over. You can read it in threads. There are many teachers who complain and get upset at the fact that their students cheat, or they can't actually read, they can't write. Let me show you another clip I came across.
32 of my 35 students between 2 classes failed a portion of their midterm because they all used AI to generate their entire response. And apparently they didn't proofread it. Let me show y'all how I picked up on it. So this discussion post was a portion of my students' midterm, and if you look, looks normal, right? But if you copy and paste this and look closely, in white ink I placed the word Madagascar somewhere in the response in a way that makes no sense. But if you uncopy and paste it, you can't see it. So if Madagascar was somewhere in my student's response in a way that did not make sense, I knew that they copied and pasted the entire thing and just threw it in AI. And oh my God. You would be amazed at the bizarre usage of the word Madagascar that I saw in these students' assignments. First and foremost, Madagascar has nothing to do with the Industrial Revolution. Second, it was more than obvious that they didn't even go back and reread these responses. So yeah, 32 out of 35 students failed a portion of their midterm, and that's how So students, if you're going to use AI to generate the entire response, at least reread it. At least try to ensure that it makes a little bit of sense. Try to put it in your own words, something.
And honestly, I'm gonna be real. He's right. This is one of those things that you will catch so blatantly obvious in present day society. Like, I know we talk about in a lot of these videos, AI bros this, AI bros that. But realistically, let's be real. A lot of people at this current day in society, especially if you use ChatGPT, you try to use it in school, you're trying to use it, your AI bros will too. Whether you like it or not, you are one. Probably, I guarantee there's a lot of people who probably call AI bros for generative AI, but then they'll go and use it for things just for like school essays, papers, midterms, you call it. And one of the biggest things that you have been noticing a lot, especially if you keep up with the news or you just keep up with what's going on with schools, is the fact that AI use is so prevalent and it's just escalating rapidly to the point like the guy in that video was talking about. People don't even just read what they get generated. They just say, "Hey, ChatGPT, hey Gemini, craft me this long paragraph," and then they just copy and paste it. They don't even look through what they are generating. Like, if you're going to cheat, back in my day, if you were going to cheat, you had to at least put some effort to be a little bit clever, a little bit sneakily, like, oh yeah, let me do it this way so they can't really catch this, or whatever the case might be. Now these students are just using AI and they say, all right, hey, AI, create this, and then they just copy and paste and call it a day. That is fucking crazy. That is insane. What a sad state of this world, dog. Like, come on, man. And then we already got things like this already being developed, which is a watermarks remover now supports watermarks from OpenAI and Gemini in addition to Claude. We already got watermark removers that are coming in hot. Man, I don't know what's going on. One person right here said, if the watermarks embedded in the statistical sequence in the text, i.e. it can't be stripped without rewriting the text, doesn't that necessarily make LLM text generation less useful? I don't think you're going to see a lot of people complain about that, at least those who don't like AI. They're probably championing putting their fist in the air saying, let's go. They continue by saying the model can learn perform purely for the user's request. Some fraction of its freedom is choosing words, phrases, and structure is now being spent on preserving the watermark. You get an inherent trade-off between watermark robustness and model flexibility and compliance. Ergo, the stronger the more robust the watermark, the greater the constraint. In other words, LLMs will suck more at heart and be hard to work with, which I don't think you'll see anyone really complaining about, but that's something that they don't really understand. But yeah, just want to talk about this. This is a super sad situation, but I will admit this is pretty interesting to see some AI bros get upset at this, and that this is like the tipping point for them. They get really upset. I thought you like using AI. Why are you so afraid to admit that you're using AI? Don't you want people to see that you're using AI? I mean, I thought that AI is the future here, right? I thought that y'all love it, so why try to hide that you're using AI? I don't know, man, but I'll leave it here.